Hello, my name is BJ. I'm in civil engineering department. I'm working in the geotechnical engineering lab. Today we are gonna talk about the mechanics of soil compression. Usually soil engineering problem categorized as two parts roughly. One is if the applying stresses is exceeding the strength of soil. Usually soil has much bigger normal stress strength than shear strength. So it usually deals with the shear stress and shear strength relationship. We call this category as a stability problem. And if there is not possibility of failure, if we can sure that the applying stress much less than strength, there is no possibility of failure, we call it compressibility problem. This is today's topic of the descriptive. Then why the compressibility of soil is important to civil engineering, especially when you make a construction over a soil. Why the soil compressibility is very important? Can you make a guess? Compressibility. Why we have to estimate and calculate the amount of deformation of soil when we construct a structure over a ground?
So I will give an example from my country. Maybe like if it should be very strong in case an earthquake happens.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know.
So soil have a certain amount of strength. We should design a structure in the range of these strengths, but we are assume that there is no possibility of failure in this case. So we only concern about the compressed deformation. Is usually vertical deformation, also horizontal deformation. Why? Just make a guess.
I'm sorry, what is the information of soil? I mean the content of the soil?
Soil is usually composed of water.
Yeah.
Between the particle, there's a particle, and in between the particle there's a small gap which is filled with water or air. So there's several reasons why we have to think about the amount of deformation before we make a certain structure. First, the biggest reason is there is a big deformation when you apply the load on the ground. And the second reason is it takes a long time. If there is a big deformation but it occurs at once, you don't have to think a lot. We don't have to think about the deformation because we can apply a lot of load before much heavier than our structure. We apply it at once and the deformation is gonna end in 10 minutes and a day. We don't have to concern about the deformation. But it usually takes about, it depends on case to case, but it usually takes about several years, or we even estimate 100 of years. It deforms very slowly.
Oh.
And so a certain type of structure is we don't have to concern about the deformation. If we get this same deformation, well, who cares if we build a big storage? Nobody concerned about the storage. It goes move down a little bit. We can make a big foundation for it. But as you know, soil has very different property from this location to this location. And if there's a very weak location here, very compressible, if we have a big, very rigid material under this structure, then the deformation is, let's assume this is big storage. There's no concern there. It's not need to be the appearance of this structure. If this deformation occurs a lot here, but less in here, there is a very significant, very hazardous problems occurs. We call it differential settlement. It causes severe damage in the structure, because usually structures are made of concrete, which is very weak for shear strength. So deformation of soil is very important to us. So let's see, if you have a certain type of material, there is very, very well known fact that there is a relationship between stress and strain and time. The simplest case of stress and strain is, we call it elastic. Yeah, elastic material means if you remove the load we applied, then the deformation is removed, eliminated. I mean, if we push a little material, if the material is elastic, you can solve the deformation of the material by applying a theory of elasticity. But as you know, theory of elasticity is far from easy. Only the very simplest case we can solve with that. But the fact is we can solve the problem. But as you know, soil is not elastic material, because most of the deformation is not caused each particle's deformation, is not from the deformation occurred by a deformation of particle is very small. Usually, most of the parties occurs in a rearrangement of each particle.